What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here again for you guys. A lot to talk about today, and another decent night of the World Cup. I think everyone got what they wanted in the USA game, to be honest. Sorry to any Americans watching, but I think
we stand against corruption here.
Exactly,
at We Are Tottenham TV.
Exactly. I actually, massive fan of Maurizio, and I really wanted USA to do well. But after that whole debacle with Balogun, it was only right what happened yesterday, to be honest. I think football won yesterday.
It's opened a whole can of worms. You got France now appealing a yellow card for Elise. You got England appealing for Kwanzaa. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. FIFA agreeing to this suspension, unprecedented. It really changes like the nature of just football, like punishments, what the rules are. They've really just circumvented it. It was an absolute disgrace what happened. I understand the frustration of the US national team because I thought it was a harsh red card. So, and Balogun was such an important player for them. So I understand the whole, and it was such a big game. I don't know when the last time they were ever in a quarterfinal, so it would be a massive opportunity for them. I get all of that, and they're on home turf, but you can't just change the rules willy-nilly as you like it. And they did it once already for Ronaldo, which I thought was a disgrace.
Not much has been said about that.
That was also a disgrace.
To be talked about as well, because that was also a disgrace.
He should have been banned for the first 3 games of this tournament.
And you know what? Portugal got what they deserved yesterday as well.
Exactly. So, yeah, I wonder what will come of this at the end of the day. But it was literally, we witnessed corruption in front of our very eyes. We got told Trump made a call. We got trolled. We got told that FIFA decided to do this U-turn on the suspension and suspend it. It's like just there. It's out there for all to see. There's nothing behind closed doors. There's no secret agenda. It's just playing in the open. It was corruption.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone went on about Sepp Blatter and how corrupt he is, mate. I never saw anything like this under Sepp Blatter. Gianni Infantino is more crooked than anything else, man. It's ridiculous.
Are we surprised?
No. Not at all. So, look, enough said about that. Both the teams that are out now, Portugal are out, USA are out. So now we hopefully can have a corrupt-free last 8 of the tournament.
Wouldn't bet against it.
But yeah, look, as people are saying, congratulations to Pedro Porro on getting into the last 8. And what they face, one of, Colombia or Argentina?
No, they face Belgium.
Oh, Belgium, yeah.
They face Belgium, who won convincingly last night. It was actually, I was watching a game. I have to say, USA shat the bed massively. That was like, you know how we love Poch's football at its best, but that was Poch's football at its worst. It was the USA rushing everything, constantly, putting all the energy going 100 miles an hour, and they just never calm down. And Belgium just picked them off. They saw them coming from a mile away, and from the very first minute, they had complete control of that game. And I think that was kind of the give and take. Look, USA, would they have got to this stage without playing the way they did? There's an argument to say no. But I think the way Poch actually set them up probably cost them yesterday.
Well, we'll see what happens with Pochettino moving forward. But before we get into it, we've got a lot of transfer news to talk about today. Big up to okjersey.com, the best place to get your jerseys. This one is an OK jersey special. Get yours, Spurs 15. The new ones are going to be there very, very soon. I know I keep saying it, but they will be there very, very soon, along with the training gear that's going to be up there very soon as well. 15% off using our code SPURS15. It's coming home, people. It's coming home. Simmer's told us from the beginning of the tournament it's coming home. Let's get your England jerseys as well. Or any other jersey, whoever you're supporting in this World Cup, they've got you covered. They've got you covered for all the domestic jerseys that you want as well, from training gear to jumpers. I'm not sure you need jumpers in this kind of heat, but you've got to prepare for the winter, don't you? Always prepare for the winter, because the winter is coming as well. So, yeah, all your retro stuff. They've literally got anything that you want there, all customizable. With names and numbers on the back and the badges on the sleeves as well. So get yours today, 15% off using our code SPURS15. I know you're saying, like, what, you told me this 15% discount was going to end. I mean, I was told it was going to end.
We keep getting told that.
I was told it was going to end.
Still going on.
But you can still use it, people. And if that code doesn't work, then just use the code SPURS, and that will give you 8% off. But definitely try the 15% code first, because I think that is still live and kicking. So big up to OK Jersey, the best in the business. And I'll put the link, actually. I forgot to put the link in the live chat. Let me just do that.
Danny O'Connor says, OK jersey is actually top. Got 3 kits, all very good. You know, a lot of people in the chat already saying they got their OK jersey and they're very happy with it. It's top quality and it's really affordable prices. So best replica shirts in the business. Go and check them out. OKJersey.com. You can see it on screen. Really phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Cannot go wrong with OK Jersey. But look, let's move on and let's talk some Tottenham transfer news. And we're going to start off with a complete deal, more or less anyway, with Radu Dragusin. Radu has arrived in Florence now. Tottenham have agreed the loan with an obligation to buy 21.4 million for Dragusin if he hits the right amount of game time. 10% sell-on fee as well, should Fiorentina make any profit. He's arrived in Florence. He's set to undergo his medical today as well. So Spurs getting players out the door.
Yeah, sharpish. I wonder if the focus has been, obviously we've got so many signings in and we want even more signings, but there has to be at some point focus on outgoings. And I know we've been burnt or been frustrated in the past, or we've been solely focused on outgoings first, and then we focus on the incomings. So it seems as though there's a better balance this time. Here he is arriving in Florence, and there's a video there just for confirmation to alleviate all doubt that he will be joining Fiorentina. It's there for all to see in front of our very eyes.
He turned up as the full kit wanker, Radu Dragusin. Look at that, in the full kit. It's unbelievable. Socks and everything.
Brilliant. I wonder what his agent is saying.
His agent is saying, "Don't worry, Radu.
This is only temporary.
Time, you'll be in Real Madrid."
Yeah, don't you worry. But yeah, I think it's important that we've got so many players to shift, and I like the way we've dealt with this, like under the radar, just out of nowhere, bam, we've agreed a deal. So it gives me confidence that there might be more deals in the pipeline that we're going to hear about very, very shortly, because it seems as though there's a real concerted effort at the moment to kind of concentrate a bit on outgoings now, as well as obviously all the incomings that we're all very excited about, and there's a lot of rumours we'll get into. But we obviously need to shift a hefty amount of players. So the more deals like this we can do, the better. And we got a very good price, I think, for Radu for me. I'm really happy with the deal that we've done. I think to be honest, all the sales that we've done so far, I'm really happy with the deals that we're getting. I think we're getting really good prices. So I think this Rafi guy, if he's, heading the negotiations for how we're selling, I know Levy was known for getting great deals or eking out every last penny out of the buying club, but it seems as though, just like we're being very ruthless and moving quickly with the incomings, it seems that we're doing similar with the outgoings as well. We're not hanging around too much, but we are getting solid deals over the line.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm delighted with it. More to come, a lot more to come. So from now until the end of the transfer window, you could just be Spurs in overdrive. And, I think you'll probably say about 3 more in and plenty more out from now until the end of the window.
Could even be more in, depending on how many out,
True.
Which we'll talk about.
But I think 3 initially.
And then 3 forwards for sure, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe if we sell someone in a certain position, and they can come in like a Jed Spence or something. But, Radu off to Fiorentina. Pretty much a done deal. And next up, we're going to talk about another deal that's very, very close to happening, which is Alfie Devine. I just want to take this time to think about Brian Daigle. A very sad time for him. But Alfie Devine, as Alistair Gold says, that he is undergoing a medical with Preston North End ahead of a permanent move. He'd accept to join the Championship side with other clubs interested as well. Alan Nixon said that Tottenham have agreed a £6 million transfer for Alfie Devine. Despite interest from other Championship clubs, Devine has taken the decision to return to Deepdale permanently. He obviously had a very good loan spell there last season, so we wish him all the best. Better than the fee that we agreed with them last summer when they took him on loan. So I guess that's got to be seen as a plus. Yeah,
I think 6 million for someone like Alfie Devine is not a terrible price. It's not like maybe, I do think, in the very near future, he's probably already worth a bit more than that. So I wouldn't say we've got a fantastic deal here. But I also think 6 million for a player of his career so far, it's more, we're talking more about potential when it comes to him having a higher value than maybe what he's shown. I do think he had a brilliant season. I think there's a really decent player, and I do think one day, maybe in the near future, he will be a Premier League player. I don't think he's going to be stuck in the Championship. I'm surprised, maybe Celtic balked at the price, or maybe he decided Championship was better for him than SPL. But I'm surprised if Celtic was seriously interested, he didn't kind of make that move. But maybe he's found a home. He's found somewhere where he's happy. I think when you're someone like Divine and you've been chopping and changing clubs for so long, maybe he gets the feeling it's time to find somewhere where he's really valued, where he's found a home, people really appreciate him, he feels loved, and it's harder to find than you think sometimes with in your career. So when you find it, you shouldn't give it up easily, I guess. And maybe he thought, if I have to go to Celtic, I have to prove myself again. It may be a step up in demands, but it's a new environment. I found somewhere where I'm appreciated, I'm loved, and I want to stay there. But from our point of view, it's weird they didn't take up the 4.5 million release clause and decided to wait and then pay an extra 1.5. But I'm guessing maybe there's less upfront now in this deal, and maybe that plays into their hands potentially.
Yeah, I mean, when we loaned him out to them, the report was that 4.5 is going to be well above their pay grade. It's going to smash their record transfer. There is no chance Preston are going to go to 4.45, and now they're going to 6.
Yeah.
So, happy days. I'm taking it. Next up,
what does that get our total up now this summer? So 50 for Vuskovic, 20, nearly 20 for Dragoshin, 6 for...
Well, over 20 for Dragoshin if you believe Ali Gold.
Well, depending on Romano and goal, let's call it 20. 20 for Dragoshin, that's 70. You got 6 for Divine, 76. You got 8 for Valise, so that's 84 million.
Yeah.
We've got 84.
Yeah, you said Vuskovic.
Vuskovic, yeah. So we're on 84 million for Vuskovic, Divine, Dragoshin, and Valise.
I know, and we haven't really sold anyone.
We haven't sold any of our first teamers yet.
Anyone that had made an impact.
That's meant. So we basically paid for Fernandes already.
Yeah,
with 4 players we were pretty much not going to use.
That's another 85 million in the coffers. Come on, guys.
It's crazy, isn't it? So this is what we talk about when we're saying, when people talk about, you've overpaid for this player now. We just got 84 million for four players we were never going to use. So spending that on a Fernandes, who's going to be one of our main players, makes total sense.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's talk about Jed Spence. Interesting updates on him. First of all, he was fantastic when he came on for England.
Hero
in the game against Mexico in the Azteca. Athletic are reporting that Everton are interested in signing Jed Spence, 25, England international, among a number of defensive options Everton are considering, but he's only focused on the World Cup for now, which is obviously understandable. Paul O'Keefe is suggesting that Everton want to pay around £25 million for Jed Spence. That's a bit light for me.
Yeah.
Look, they have other options. Maybe they're going to favour something around the ballpark 25 million, but I think to sell Jed Spence, it's got to be 35, 40 million around that kind of fee.
Well, how much did we buy him for? 15?
I think it was around 20.
15 to 20. Maybe, I think it was 15 rising to 20, wasn't
Maybe,
it? I'm assuming he's met those clauses at this point. So if you're looking to sell him, considering when we bought him, he was a Championship player. And I know he had a decent, season when we bought him. Got in, obviously had a brilliant season, but we've developed him to a stage where he's now a World Cup starting player. He's an England international. He's a Premier League player now. He's been playing regularly in the Premier League for 18 months at least. So considering we've built him up to that point, you should be looking to at least double that price that we paid for him, and at least really. So 40 million I think should be the asking price. But the reality is, as always with these kind of deals, and when if we don't fancy him, we are looking to sell him, then obviously that could encourage buyers. It depends how desperate we are. If we are happy to keep him, then 40 million should be the price. But if De Zerbi wants to sell him, then you have to drop it a bit.
There is no chance that we are going to sell Radu Dragusin for 21 million and sell Spence for 25 million.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
There is no chance in hell.
I think the asking price, if they come in for him, the asking price is going to be at least 40. That's going to be the start of the negotiation. Yeah. Maybe they can get us down to maybe 35 plus add-ons or something around that, or 33 plus add-ons. Yeah, maybe that's acceptable. I don't see us selling for 25, not for a player that his quality. I'm not saying he's the best fullback in the league. I'm just saying he's good enough to be a £40 million fullback. So, yeah, I don't.
I think he'd be really good.
You know, Lewis Hall, when he went from when he was unproven, went from Chelsea to Newcastle. I know he had a few appearances for Chelsea, but he was one of their fringe players at the time, and he went for what, 30 million, didn't he?
I think he did, and I think
I know he's a good player, but still,
I think Jed Spence would suit Everton so well, in my opinion. Obviously, Seamus Coleman is gone now. They've got a space for him. They need a right back. I think they should be going for Jed Spence. I really do. I think it's a move that suits everyone. It suits Jed. It suits Everton, and probably suits Spurs. With SZY saying that De Zerbi just doesn't rate Spence, so it's looked like that we'll be open to letting him go. I think our starting negotiation point probably should be around 40, 45, and maybe settling at something like 35. I wouldn't be against that.
And I think that's a fair price. I think that's not a bad deal for Everton, especially in the current market. You're getting someone like Spence who's playing at the World Cup. It's just a shame from as a fan point of view. I do like Jed, and I think he's got a lot of value in the squad in terms of what he brings. He's as we've said, one of the best one-on-one defenders probably in the Premier League in terms of how he defends. He's versatile. We haven't really seen him in his best position probably at Tottenham. So, him battling with Porro was a really good prospect, a really good idea. So to lose that would be a shame. But if De Zerbi ain't fancying him, I think we would happily take the money. But the problem is, if we take the money, it's going to be hard to replace someone and get someone in as good as him for that kind of money, isn't it?
Yeah, for that money. But if we want to pay a bit more, I'm not against it. Like I said.
But you're paying someone a bit more for a backup.
Yeah, for sure. But it's got to be someone that can seamlessly come in when needed. And you want to take that load off Pedro Porro. I know we're not going to be playing as many games this season, but we're going to hopefully be playing those level of games next season.
Some people have been suggesting, could Gray be the one filling in that position?
I prefer not. To be honest, I'd like to see him focus more on the central midfield. I haven't been that unhappy with him at right back, but he's just not a right back, and I think you can see when he is at right back, he's not a right back. So I prefer to get square pegs and square holes.
It's true, but De Zerbi demands different things from his fullbacks than Frank does, or Tudor, and actually he's used players like Gray a lot in that position. So I wonder if De Zerbi looks at things. I think Gray could do a really good job for me in that role.
If De Zerbi thinks that, then I'm all for it, because I think he's got the ability on the ball. Obviously, not as much as like a Pedro Porro, but if De Zerbi thinks that's the way to go, I'm not against it. I'm not against it, and also it gives him game time as well, because those minutes are going to be few and far between starting in the Premier League.
The only problem is.
But it wouldn't be my first choice, not to.
Yeah, the only problem is it's again kind of we're using him maybe outside of his best position, and it takes away from that development. At this point, that's where
he's played the majority of football in his career.
It's true. That's the reality.
Because that's where he played the whole season.
And didn't De Zerbi say he was asked about Gray, wasn't he? And he kind of said, look, he needs to kind of pick a position. The problem is he good enough to be starting in centre midfield for us right now? Especially with the players we've got coming in. The reality is the reality is no. I'm not saying he can't play in that position, but is he? If De Zerbi's really serious about us challenging up at the higher echelons of the league and he's getting all these big players, is Gray up to that challenge to be one of the options in that position right now at that level? I'm not saying in general, I'm not saying in the Premier League, I'm just saying at that level, top four, that kind of stuff. I think the jury's definitely out on that. So maybe he's seeing it as if, look, he can if he can play an inverted right back role for me, he can spend a lot of time in central midfield anyway. He gets game time there, he can fill in there, and also he's still an option centre mid if we need him. But maybe he thinks, does he see him long term more as a right back potentially? I do wonder. I'm trying to think of some examples. There are some examples. Sometimes, you think a certain positions you're better, like Matthias Nunes, for example. He was brilliant. He was a centre mid at Wolves, and he was great there. He was signed as a centre mid at City, but he was just never quite good enough to play centre mid. But he is a right back, and he plays there regularly now. He's pretty much a right back now. So that's like an example of someone who transitioned. So I wonder if Gray could do something similar.
I don't think the case is of Gray that he's not good enough to play central midfield in terms of his attributes. I think still suits central midfield more than anything.
But Núñez is good enough to play centre, but he's not good enough for City, is my point.
Yeah, but I think Gray could be good enough for Spurs in the central midfield. Obviously not because we've got the players that we've just brought in. I think the case is the same in central midfield than at right back for Archie Gray, because we've got Pedro Porro, we've got Tonali, we've got so much better players than him right now. So it's just a case of, can you find a role for him? Is that the role for him? I don't know. I'd prefer to see him in central midfield. If it is an inverted right back role, you're seeing him in the central areas of the pitch anyway.
But interestingly, if we do that, make Gray a right back, it leaves potentially a spot there for Bergvall to stay, potentially.
I wouldn't like to see Gray solely as a right back. And that's it. You're telling him you're a right back now, and that's it. I think he might get a bit frustrated with that. Just like Bergvall was getting frustrated with not playing in his favourite position. I think Gray has, said his favourite position is an 8, and if he's just goes through this season saying, you know what, I'm only playing right back, is he going to get frustrated with that, saying, potentially, well, my development isn't going as planned here?
If you would have told Núñez if he was going to be a right back, maybe he would have got frustrated as well. But look at him now. He's a good right back, and he pretty much plays there consistently. I know he's not Núñez. Great, he's a different player. I'm just saying it's a interesting comparison of a player who Núñez was brought in to be a centre mid, and he just didn't quite make the grade, even though he's a very good player. You would say Núñez is a better centre mid than Gray is, but yet he wasn't good enough to play there for City. It
depends how he develops there. If he's developing on a really good trajectory, and he's having top performances at right back like Núñez was at Man City, and his development is going in the way that he's planned, then yeah, fine. But if his development stagnates while playing at right back, then that's when the questions are going to start to pop up, and that's where the frustrations are going to come from Archie Gray. Next up, we'll talk about a player that we haven't spoken about here before, called Mbaye. Is it Mbaye? Ibrahim Niang. Ibrahim Mbaye of PSG. Sebastian Dennis saying that Tottenham are interested in him, but Aston Villa are currently the front runners right now. I don't know much about him. I know he's a right winger.
Well, he played in the World Cup, didn't he? He scored against France. He actually looked really great in the World Cup. He actually looked really interesting. I know he plays at PSG. He's like a fringe player there, but he definitely is sharp. He's quick on his feet. Clearly quite a raw talent. But I remember being very impressed when he did come on against France, and he was causing them quite a bit of trouble. And obviously he got that goal, which put Senegal very briefly back in the game in the World Cup. I think clearly, he's a clear talent, but is he more talented than some of the other players that we're looking at in that position, who are a bit older, probably a bit more ready-made than him? I can't see us signing him, considering that we're going for more proven players. I don't think we sign him as one of our starting wingers. I don't see that happening. But he looks like a good talent.
He's 18 years of age at the end of the day. If we sign him, he's more of a mould of like a Bergvall or Archie Gray, maybe trying to bed them in somehow. It depends as well what's happening with Kulusevski. All of a sudden, if Kulusevski is not going to play any part in this season, you might need even another one to come in. But it's interesting. He wants to leave PSG. He's not getting any sort of game time there, and he wants game time. Is he going to get that game time at Tottenham? Is he more likely to get it at Aston Villa? Probably.
I mean, Sancho's not coming back. They could probably got a spot there. If they're willing to take a risk on him, then he probably does get more game time than Villa at Tottenham right now. Depending on who we sign, obviously. If he's like a Savinho alternative, then maybe he would get game time at Tottenham. But I think right now, like the players we're looking at, Savinho, Anusa, those kind of players of that profile, he's a similar profile to them. I'd rather go for one of those two, I think.
Yeah, right, Totally agree. Let's get into the Rafael Leao situation. A lot has been said about Rafael Leao. Daniel Longo says that Leao wants to play in the Premier League and Tottenham is a welcomed option. The winger is waiting for an official offer from Tottenham of around 60 million euros. Leao is ready to accept Spurs even without being in the Champions League. Spurs journo says that Tottenham will now explore a deal for Rafael Leao following Portugal's World Cup exit. Spurs expect to face competition from other clubs for Leao's signature, and heard from Spurs says that Tottenham now are expected to step up talks with Leao following the World Cup involvement. Current expectation of a deal looks like a loan with an obligation to buy, surely if it meets like some certain criteria, which I think is the best move for Spurs. Go for that loan if he gets a certain amount of goals, certain amount of appearances, something like that. Champions League football. Then we'll make that loan an obligation and sign him permanently next summer. I've been impressed with what I've seen from him in this World Cup. I thought it was madness for Portugal not to play him last night. He came on and he was a threat down that left-hand side. The guy's pace, it just blows you away. I mean, he had Porro on toast at times in the game yesterday. I'd love to see Leao at Spurs. I was a bit on the fence of it maybe before the World Cup, but now seeing him a bit more, I'd like to see him at Spurs.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence about it, but I'm definitely would be excited if we were to sign him. If we were to press the button and bring him to Tottenham, with all the fanfare, all the buzz around it, it will be hard not to be swept up by all of that. And if you just look at a highlights reel of his time at AC Milan, it's hard not to look at that and think what a player we are getting. But sometimes the reality doesn't quite meet the fantasy. And is Leao one of those cases? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. Is he actually? Would he live up to the hype? Is he the player that is as good as everyone says he is, or as good as he thinks he is? That's kind of the questions we got to ask ourselves, and I guess we'd only really know that. We won't really know that until he comes, because you don't really know what's gone on at AC Milan, why it's gone stale, why is he not quite as consistent as he could be or should be? Could De Zerbi get that out of him? Is De Zerbi the right coach for him? Or is there something wrong with him and his mentality and how he approaches things that is holding him back? Is it Milan holding him back, or is he holding himself back? I guess are the question marks you got to ask yourself. What's definitely not in doubt is his talent and how good of a player he is on his day. That everyone can agree. He could be a special player.
De Zerbi will get him on side, man. I'm convinced of it. But it's all,
yeah, for sure. But it's all well and good having those initial conversations and being convinced, and that's fine. And if that happens, and we decide, yeah, you know what, we're going to bring him, that's great. But you don't ever truly know, do you, until you bring someone through the door, and then when things get tough, if we're on bad form or whatever. When things are going against you a bit, maybe he's on bad form, and when you have to get him out of it, how does he respond to that? Those are things you only really know when you're with a player during the season, all those problems being ironed out. Can we get him, at his best consistently? Those are obviously questions we won't really know, because you can have those initial conversations, you can be convinced, and those things are important. If De Zerbi looks in his eyes and he can convince there's fire in there, and he's coming to Tottenham because he wants to prove himself against the best, and he believes he's got levels to go up, then that's obviously important. But you don't truly know the nature of a player until you've actually got them in the squad, and over not just not even 6 months or 1 year period. Sometimes maybe he plays well for a year, we sign him up, and then all of a sudden it goes wrong and he starts, those old traits come back again. You don't truly know, do you, until you're in that situation. So those are still the risks. But I think it's worth the risk. I do think, especially for a loan with an obligation, it's hard to argue that it's not worth the risk to bring in someone like Leao. Albeit it could be a fairly big outlay when it comes to wages and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, when it comes to the transfer fee, it's compared to his talent, it is fairly modest. Like when you look at other players of his kind of ability, it's going to be a lot more to get someone like him in.
You sell Vuskovic, who's never played a minute for 52, and bring in a Leao of a similar price. I think that's crazy. Rafael Leao has been a big name for quite some time in the game, and it will bring such a buzz, such excitement to bring someone like him in. And if it doesn't work out, then you cut the loan at the end of the year. And if it's not working out through the season, then you've got hopefully a Savinho or another winger who we're going to bring in to compete against him. So
why do you think? Obviously I take your point, and I would be willing to risk it and just roll the dice kind of on him in terms of could we get the best out of him. But why do you think no other bigger club is looking to touch him at the moment? What is really holding him back? Is that why have they looked at him and say he's not worth the risk? Yet we would say he is.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? First of all, Spurs. I think we just need a player like this, that someone to take up that mantle that Sonny left on that left-hand side, that can get goals and assists even in his bad times, or not his bad times, but his not as good times. He's shown that he can get consistent goals, consistent assists, consistent goal contributions. I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you why other teams not looking at him. Maybe, we're talking about us being kind of unsure to do it because we don't want to pay the transfer fee. We want to put him on a loan with an obligation to buy. So obviously there is risk there, and there is kind of apprehension from us even who would like to give him the go. So you're looking at top managers and top players. They've obviously got those apprehensions as well. I think. Look, the suggestion is there will be other clubs in for him as well. It won't be just Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, but a lot of people are saying that it's Saudi, it's Turkey, it's not the top clubs, is it?
It'll be interesting to see who it actually is. Are there any other Premier League clubs or Champions League Premier League clubs that are interested in him? I mean, I'd be surprised if teams like Newcastle and Aston Villa are not interested in him. Like they were interested in like Jadon Sancho and Rashford. Like, why would they not be interested in Rafael Leao?
I don't know.
Like, for me, Jadon Sancho, many more question marks than Rafael Leao.
It just seems as though Leao is trying to be pushed on us at the moment. He's kind of lacking suitors. His agent is clearly trying to get him to the Premier League and get him down. Tottenham's obviously the most viable option because we've got a lot of money to spend and we're looking for a superstar as well. And Leao kind of fits that bill in terms of the big name, exciting name, creates buzz, all that kind of stuff.
It's because his career hasn't gone in the trajectory that everyone thought it would have gone in. That is the stone cold fact. He was getting double digits in goals like 3-4 years ago, and he hasn't hit that since. He's always got like 8 or 9 goals a season. His career hasn't gone on that upward trajectory. It's kind of like stagnated in the last couple of years, and those are the reservations that people have.
Yeah, but Arsenal, they've just sold Trossard. They've got an opening on the left wing. They don't seem that interested in him. Like Liverpool probably could do with someone like him. They don't seem so interested. So is there something that they know that we don't? That's the question, I guess, we ask ourselves.
I don't think so. I don't think there's something that they know we don't. I think everything they know we're talking about right now. And I think the apprehensions from the clubs are fair enough, are completely fair enough. And I can see why. But I would take a punt on him. I'm not saying that he's going to 100% rip it up and be amazing for us. But watching him in this World Cup, I think he's got attributes that we need at this football club. And I think he can provide for us.
That's definitely true. As I've said before, like I like the idea of Savinho because he creates chances and he's electric and he's great on the ball with his pace. But we just don't have a player who can maybe just pull something out of the bag, just do something special if things are tight, if the game's going against you, you're not at your free-flowing best, which will happen on occasion. Then when you've got someone like Leao who can just turn up, who can just pull something out the hat, pull rabbit out the hat if you need him to, that's the kind of player that as well we are missing in the squad, and he would obviously fit that bill. So from that point of view, I completely agree. When we talk about someone who gets you goal contributions, who's got that little bit of magic, who's more effective in the final third, I think Leao fits that bill. He is when he gets in the final third. He makes good decisions, I feel. He's obviously got great execution. We've seen that consistently.
I was reading as well. Who was his manager last year? Was it Allegri?
Was it Allegri at AC Milan? Might be.
No, Allegri was at Juve, right, last season?
I can't remember. He's flirted between the both.
I can't remember who AC Milan manager was last season, but I was reading that. Well, first of all, I told you last time that he said he was playing 5-6 months with an injury,
true.
Playing through the pain barrier, and on top of that, he was played completely out of position. He was played as a second striker a lot last season, so that as well could play into it.
Yeah, but I think it'll definitely be an exciting signing. I'm not saying sitting here I don't want him, because if we sign him tomorrow, I'll be absolutely just like, what is going on at this club? We're getting Leao as well. Wow, what a signing, what a player. But there is a big kind of red flag there. Like, is this actually a smart thing, or are we doing it just to get a big name? That's the question we've got to ask ourselves.
Yeah, but I think you bring him in alongside like a Savinho or someone else, like a Somerville, whatever, whoever it is. I think that's two real talents that even with Rafael Leao, right, how he's been over the last couple of seasons, injured, playing out of position, is miles better than what we got. So what we're doing here.
Yeah, it's true.
So there you have it. Bring in Leao. That's what I say. Next up, let's talk about Junior Krupi. So, with Krupi, Spurs Jono saying that Spurs have had pushback from Bournemouth on Krupi, and they insist he's not for sale. I mean, they would say that, wouldn't we? I mean, there's been a lot of people saying, I think Alex Crook said it, and maybe some others, that Spurs are poised to make an £85 million bid for Krupi. I wonder if that will make them blink or not. But yeah, the line from Bournemouth is he's not for sale.
Which makes sense, because he's only had one good season. Now, if they want to keep him, they're not looking to sell him, but it will take an astronomical fee. That's what we've heard. And if we put the astronomical fee down, will they sell? Will they accept it? If we put down, 90 million, will they really turn that down after one season they just signed it for 12? And Bournemouth are the kind of club who would back themselves to reinvest that smartly and recruit to basically. They've done it before with Hyson, with Zabriani, with Kirkes, and they just went from strength to strength. Well, they would back themselves, I bet, to do it with Krupi as well, regardless of how much they get for him. But obviously they're going to want a big fee. So I don't believe they wouldn't sell if we put that money, if we put serious money on the table. I think they would, but obviously the start of the negotiation would be that, because I think they don't want to sell, like they want to keep him. But if we're paying ridiculous money, then it's in their interest to sell at some point.
And it looks like only Spurs would be in the running as well to get a Krupi, because
For that price, anyway.
For that price, yeah, because PSG, I think it said yesterday that they're not willing to go and pay that sort of money for Krupi. Teams like Arsenal, are they willing to go and put that money down for Krupi? I doubt it. Liverpool, are they going to put that? I don't know. So it looks as though Spurs are probably the only ones mad enough to pay this kind of price.
We're crazy, but you know what? We're building a super team here. We don't care what it costs. So look, get him in. I love Krupi.
No expenses spared at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Exactly.
And last but not least, you thought we were done with him. You thought we were done talking about him.
Who?
He's back. Randall
No.
Kolo Muani.
No.
Randall Kolo
I don't even want to
Muani.
hear this update. I don't even want you to go into this.
L'Equipe are reporting
No.
that Tottenham are understood to have made contact with PSG in regards to the availability of signing Randall Kolo Muani on a permanent basis.
I heard he left his wallet at the Tottenham Stadium, so we need to get in contact with him.
Juventus are understood to be keen on reviving their interest as well. I mean,
No.
this is solely being put in there, the press, the French press, by the way,
Just
by
to piss
PSG.
us off, I think.
Not to piss us off, but, well, that as well. But basically to say, Juventus, you better hurry up, because Spurs are the sharks in the water are swarming.
No, just no. I don't think I need to dignify that rumour with a response. We are not re-signing Randall Kolo Muani. We're talking about Leao, Savinho, Krupi, and then we're talking about a guy who everyone was happy to see the back of last season, who
Did you not see that hero's ovation he got when he went off against Aston Villa?
Oh, of course, because he did a dribble. No. End the stream. Yeah, just move on. We are not getting Randall Kolo Muani. Absolutely no chance.
Never know. De Zerbi could get it out of him.
No.
That's what I heard last season.
He got probably more out of him than the other people, but no.
So,
No.
am I right in saying that you don't want Randall Kolo Muani?
Yeah, that would be accurate.
Is that right?
No.
Yeah, I'd very much agree with you. I mean, I was done with him after the first few months of last season, to be honest. I think he was so bad. So bad. Let him be Juventus's problem. That's what I say, and he will be Juventus's problem. He will go there. I think PSG are just trying to drive up the price. That's all this is.
Don't mention him and Tottenham ever again. We want to forget about it. We want to forget he ever played for our club. He's finished. He's not welcome here. He's not welcome back at Tottenham. He's welcome to come and watch a game. That's fine.
Yeah, would he be welcome for an interview here on WeAreTottenhamTV?
Oh, he's welcome for an interview. He's just not welcome to put on the show on the football pitch again.
Oh, well, off the foot, which is fine.
Off the football pitch is fine.
All right, well, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today. Spurs being linked with Randall Kolo Muani is not a name I thought I would hear when I woke up this morning, but here we are. We've got Krupi, got Leao, and then Randall Kolo Muani, who was just on a terrible loan for us.
I heard we've also sounded out in Ndombele.
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah. Deserby can make him cook, I tell you. Deserby can make him cook. Bring him home.
Yeah, Timo as well.
I reckon Deserby could get Timo to cook.
Get Timo in, Harry Winks back in the frame.
He's available.
You know, all of them. Bring them all back.
Why not? Dan Juma, I heard he's available.
It's a new era at Spurs. That's what we're building.
I think Deserby can. He's gonna show all these old managers up. Look, why couldn't you get all the best out of all these players? I'm going to get them all back, and we're going to be cooking.
All right, let's move on because there's been. Well, you can explain what we're doing now.
Well, there was an article released today by the Premier League, which I thought would go through because I thought it was quite interesting stuff. So it's talking about. Why have obviously the revolution of our midfield? Obviously, everyone knows, unless you've been living under a rock, Spurs have spent 180 million around, 185 million.
No chance. Never in a million years would that happen.
Well, it has. Correct me if I'm wrong. We have spent 185 million on Tonali and Fernandes.
That's not happening. Not at Tottenham. Not at Tottenham. Well, you must be talking about PSG or Real Madrid.
I would check the official website if I were you. The question is, why have we decided to spend so much money on those players? What are they going to bring to the midfield? How much better are they than what we currently have at Tottenham Hotspur? And the Premier League have done a really nice article with some really nice graphics and some stats to kind of explain what Fernandes and Tonali are going to bring to Tottenham Hotspur and what the difference is between what we're bringing in and what we have already. So the first graph, they're talking about obviously the pressing stats and ball recoveries and that kind of stuff. So we know De Zerbi likes his team to be high pressing, likes to be full of energy, full of intensity. So looking at where do Tonali and Fernandes rank among kind of those players. In fact, the one right at the top is Conor Gallagher when it comes to the last season. High turnovers on the left, on the bottom axis, ball recoveries. So Conor Gallagher right at the top. But you see, on this one, Fernandes and Tonali actually rank quite similarly to Sarr and Bentancur around the middle, but still one of the top performers. Paulinho and Gray actually quite low down. But I guess the question would that be, could he get more? We know Tonali and Fernandes are very physical players. They like to get involved in duels. I do think he can get those numbers up. Obviously, Conor Gallagher, this is obviously one of the reasons why we signed Conor Gallagher, because he's such a great presser. And I think that obviously graph shows how great of a presser he is and what maybe he's going to bring to De Zerbi next season. But yeah, I mean, he's in that graph, it doesn't quite show any difference. He's just quite similar to Bentancur and Pape Sarr. I reckon he can get those numbers up. Obviously, you've got Fernandes not playing for a higher pressing team as well with that. Tonali, a bit different. But Tonali
Pape's a good presser anyway.
Yeah, Pape's a good presser.
Pape's a good presser.
Yeah. Bentancur, a bit lower with the high turnovers, but ball recoveries is quite good. So they perform fairly well. When it comes to Premier League midfielders in general, obviously you can see all those purple dots there. They're actually performing quite well when it comes to the general Premier League midfielders in that sense. But this is where they really stand out. If you're looking at on the ball, right, you're looking at how they pass the ball, forward-thinking passes. You go to the next scatter graph. This is why we've brought them in. So they've dotted all our midfielders. So the left axis is the entries into the final third, and the bottom axis is passes completed per 90. So as
you've got to remember as well, by the way, this is Matheus Fernandes playing under Nuno Espirito Santo as well.
Correct. So you got to caveat it with a different kind of, different team. De Zerbi's going to obviously get more possession, more passes out of them, hopefully get them passing forward more as well. But as you can see, Tonali and Fernandes way out in front when compared to our current set of midfielders when it comes to especially final third entries. It's a significant improvement. When it comes to obviously passes completed, only Bentancur is better than Fernandez, but Tonali obviously outranks all our midfielders from final third entries and passes completed. And this is by, as you mentioned with Fernandez, passes completed, the amount for a West Ham team who are obviously also within relegation battle and as well not the most possession-based team. They don't see as much of the ball. Yet, you know, there he is performing quite significantly better. And as well, when it comes to the Premier League kind of overall, you can see with the purple dots, Tonali performing quite well when compared to the rest of the Premier League. Fernandez, a bit more average, maybe slightly above average, I would say, when it comes to that. But you can see it's so much better on the passing in, forward, isn't it?
It is, 100%. It's worlds away, to be honest. But it's mad that Conor Gallagher is down the bottom for final third entries when he's been like number 10.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? He needs to really work on that, 100%. Conor Gallagher, but what's also
How
significant...
the hell is Pat João Palhinha the highest one there as well, out of all our current midfielders?
I think it's a good question. I think it just goes to show how poor everyone has been performing from that aspect. I think what's really telling in this graph, obviously Fernandez and Tonali are way out in front, but also how clumped together all our midfielders are, all performing fairly similarly, and how low down they are compared to the rest of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Very average, really, really poor, but you can see Fernandez and Tonali makes a major difference. So they're going to get the ball into the final third way more often, and also they're going to probably complete more passes as well than the rest of our midfielders. So you can see major difference compared to what we have, compared to what is on offer right now in our current midfield. So definitely we've seen one of the big concerted efforts from De Zerbi this window. It's been very clear, is getting midfielders who are comfortable on the ball and getting players, in general. You've seen that with Van Hecke, Senesi. They're the top passers in the league. And now you're looking at Fernandez and Tonali, who are just so much better and more comfortable on the ball than our current midfielders. And I think that's what De Zerbi's really valued. I think we've seen in our team over the last couple of years, that especially just on the ball, we have really struggled to progress the ball, keep the ball in difficult spaces, just be comfortable, especially when being pressed. And I think these players are definitely going to make a big difference for sure.
Yeah, and you don't really lose anything off the ball as well.
Exactly, which we saw in the last graph. Very similar.
So I mean, it marries the both two together, which we've just been desperate for so long at Tottenham Hotspur. So that's why I think these guys are really the right midfielders to go for. And I think them two, they're going to work so well together. They really were. And I think they can both take turns, can't they, in going forward, staying back. They're both just so energetic, get around the pitch so well. Lee said that Tonali, it's like he's got 4 lungs. I mean, how many times have we said that about someone like Decky? You know what I mean? Just never stop running throughout a whole game. And I think Fernandez is very similar in that aspect as well.
Both of them incredible stamina, but so much better on the ball than what we have. This next one is again comparing statistically some of the passing stats. It was interesting. It's not only it's comparing our midfielders. It's Tonali, Fernandez last season compared to our midfielders last season, and as well they've added McAllister and Caicedo, how they performed when they were at Brighton under De Zerbi. So that I think is quite interesting. So as you can see, the stats of our midfielders when it comes to final third passes, not this one, no, other one. Yeah. When it comes to final third passes, they're way out in front, but actually not quite as good as McAllister and Caicedo. But maybe what it's showing is what it could look like under De Zerbi, how much higher these maybe stats could be. That's what it's going to be more in line with. But yeah, obviously way out in front when it compared to Sarr, Gray, Palhinha, Bentancur. They're much higher than them. Not quite as good as McAllister, Caicedo. 4 passes per game again. Apart from Palhinha, actually, who surprisingly is higher than Fernandez. Tonali and Fernandez are way out in front again. Then Sarr, Gray and Bentancur again. And also Tonali more than McAllister and Caicedo when they were at Brighton. So again, I think he can get those numbers up even more, I feel like, when he gets into De Zerbi's system. Open play, pass accuracy. Fernandez actually topping this one. Tonali fairly low, but still higher than any of our midfielders. But you can see McAllister and Caicedo, their passing accuracies are much higher. So I think Fernandez and Tonali when they have more options, when De Zerbi ball is in full flight, you'll see that passing accuracy go to more McAllister and Caicedo levels. And then this one's quite interesting. Possessions won in the final third. Tonali and Fernandes, good. Won every other game, I guess, which is, way out in front compared to Gray, Palhinha, Bentancur. But again, when it compared to McAllister and Caicedo, not quite as high. So I think it's going to be interesting to see when he gets... Obviously, it's interesting to compare them to midfielders who were already in the De Zerbi system and comparing them to our midfielders last season. Obviously, we struggled on a lot of different aspects, or tactically, possession-based, getting the players forward, all that kind of stuff. But that's obviously what you're aiming for, where McAllister and Caicedo are at. And they're actually not that far off that anyway. And so when you put them under De Zerbi, considering they're not far off that anyway, I think they're going to be more in line with where you see McAllister and Caicedo.
I think they could even surpass it, to be honest. You're looking at Fernandes playing in a Nuno West Ham system, and the numbers aren't, they're not as good, but they're not too dissimilar in some of the stats. You've got Tonali as well, and I think they're going to have a better team around them as well than what they had at Brighton. So I think that these numbers for Tonali and Fernandes could surpass what we're seeing here for McAllister and Caicedo.
And it's mad to think that how out in front Fernandes is compared to our current midfielders, considering, obviously we didn't play in the most possession-based system for most of the season anyway, so though our stats for our midfielders are a bit skewed from that, but Fernandes for the whole season was playing in a team low block, and considering that, like those stats being as high as they are, is very impressive.
Who was West Ham's manager at the start of the season last year?
It was Potter for three games.
Was it just 3 games?
Yeah, it was 3 games.
So yeah, it's very interesting, and I am very much encouraged by those stats for Fernandes. Not that I needed encouragement, but I am more encouraged because when you take into the context of him being in a Nuno side and then him still showing these really strong numbers, they're going to go up leaps and bounds under De Zerbi.
And what's encouraging for Tonali is that he's obviously in a more attacking or possession-based system, kind of with Newcastle compared to our teams anyway. And his numbers are in general more in line with McAllister and Caicedo than they are to our midfielders. So it's showing he's already close to that level right now, where Caicedo and McAllister were.
Even compared to Eddie Howe to Tonali, it's still night and day in terms of how they.
De Zerbi
and De Zerbi, how they're going to play their football.
Exactly, but obviously it's a bit more on the front foot than we were. And his stats are already quite close to where McAllister and Caicedo were under. And also this is Tonali and not his best season as well. You've got to take that into account. And the final one they've compared is, chances created and take-ons with Tonali and Fernandes with our midfielders last season. If you go to the next one. And obviously, no surprise for Tonali and Fernandes. Pretty much, I think so when it comes to chances created, I think both of them are more than all of our midfielders combined. Am I right in saying that?
You are, yeah.
I think that's 21 plus 16, 37. So Tonali is more than Sarr, Gray, Palhinha and Bentancur combined. Fernandes not quite, but close.
Still, it tells a story, doesn't it?
Tells a story, yeah, exactly. When it comes to them picking up the ball in the final third, you would back them to create something and do something, create a chance or do something with the ball, compared to those 4 who really struggled when they got into the final third.
Is this solely chances created all season?
Yeah.
So,
you obviously take into account the game time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm about to say. Like the game time. Tonali and Fernandes started every single game pretty much.
Yeah.
Palhinha was in and out of the team. Bentancur had big injury. Gray in and out the team. Sarr in and out of the team. You know what I mean? So it's a bit skewed a little bit.
Yeah, I think you would have to really see the per 90 to really know. But I think the point still stands that they're going to be much better in the final third, I think, than Sarr, Gray, Palhinha and Bentancur. In my opinion. Sure. And I think the fact that the chances created are that much higher. I know it's total, so it is a bit skewed, but I think it tells a bit of a story. And as well, take-ons complete, you see Tonali way out in front compared to those other midfielders. I think it's more when you're looking at Bentancur, Palhinha, who obviously had a lot of game time for us. You look at their take-ons and look at Tonali. And also Fernandes, who's close to, just under Bentancur, way out in front of Palhinha. Again, that it just goes to show how much better they are at being on the ball, taking it forward in those dangerous areas compared to the midfielders we have now, who just seemed scared to do that last season and didn't have the ability to. So I think what we learned from what they've shown, big up to the Premier League for producing these graphs and stats. What we've shown is what De Zerbi's vision is when it comes to the midfield, getting players who are getting the ball forward more comfortable taking people on and driving the ball forward, but also not losing out off the ball when it comes to physicality, turnovers, ball recoveries, duels won, all that kind of stuff. So that is why we've earmarked these two midfielders as massive upgrades on what we have, because they you don't lose anything off the ball, but you just gain so much off the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's
on
clear.
The ball. Sorry,
it's clear for everyone to see that these two guys are really going to, we've done videos before about revolutionising the midfield, but these two really are going to revolutionise what we can do in midfield, because the players just weren't fit for purpose that we had before last season. You had no forward-thinking players there, really, that can play in a double pivot. So don't take it for granted. These guys are going to revolutionise what we can do in midfield under Roberto De Zerbi next season, and I cannot wait. So big up for those stats. And we're going to finish off doing some comments, people. We haven't done and reacted to your comments in quite a while. So let's go and have a look. What have we got?
Let's bring them up. So, Nakish Shari 4374, they say, I just want to be realistic. I'm pretty sure Coyote just signed a new deal with Brentford, so I don't think they'll open the door to sell. It's not the price. It's just like with Sunderland with Xhaka, but this doesn't mean I would love Spence to stay. He looks like he has some of his own issues, so if we sell him, I'm open for it. If the replacement is better than Spence offered for us, maybe we could go for someone like Wan-Bissaka or Pavard. But I prefer younger, yet proven and ready any time to back up Porro, because the man from last 2 seasons looks like he's a non-stop playing footballer. I like Ivan Fresneda from Sporting, or Bellanova. Looks like in the middle age, so maybe not the right choice as backup. But he's saying sell Spence and get Wan-Bissaka. Apparently he's available for 20 million.
I don't know about Wan-Bissaka. But in terms of the suggestion of going for someone a bit older like Pavard, I mean, that's exactly what we've done on the left-hand side with Robertson, isn't it? So maybe De Zerbi's not against it. Someone getting a bit more experience, a bit more know-how, been there, done it, to back up Pedro Porro. I mean, I wouldn't be totally against it, but I love the idea of bringing Coyote. I think he's a really good player. He's so young still as well. A lot of room to grow. And I think he's got some top qualities about him.
Just signed a new deal, they said, though.
Yeah, has he actually signed a new deal?
I guess that's what he's saying.
Even if he hasn't signed, even if he has signed a new deal,
everyone has his price.
Exactly.
How much would you pay for him?
I would pay maybe about 10 million over of what we've sold Spence for.
10 million over. Interesting. Azzy in the Brambles says, where does Krupi play? You're paying big for a player whose best position is off the striker, and it doesn't exist in our setup. Too small to play in the middle, ends up on the wing, less effective, paid huge money for the wrong player. He's got concerns about Krupi.
Yeah, I think they're valid. That is a valid concern, because his best performances did come off the striker, and we don't have that position in the squad unless we play him in a 10 and push the 10 up a bit further up, a bit closer to the striker. But I think he can do the job up front, and if we've got pure chance creators on the wings like Savinho, Kudus, Leao, whoever it may be, just feeding Krupi, he's going to finish them off for fun.
Yeah, I think if you get as well Krupi dropping a bit deeper, creating that separation between the centre backs, so he's not always kind of backing into them or going into physical duels, and then you get him kind of opening up a bit of space essentially for other players to run into, a bit like what Kane does to a different extent. Obviously, I don't think Krupi's playmaking is as good as his, but I think Krupi is smart enough, in my opinion, to create his own space as a false nine. You play him a bit of false nine position. I think he's good enough and smart enough to do that. And then once those space, the thing is with Krupi, what I love about Krupi is he actually doesn't need a lot of space to be effective. You watch some of his goals for Bournemouth, it's literally half a yard snapshot. He needs literally half a second and he can get the goal. He's that good. His finishing is that quick. So I'm actually less worried about. I am a bit worried about him on his own physically. Like I think there's concerns there, but I do think we can make it work, and I do think he's the kind of player I think De Zerbi would love, because he doesn't need loads of space to be effective, and that's one of his biggest assets. Is he can work in those tight spaces. You look at that goal he scored back in the last season against City when the City lost the league. He gets one touch, like half a second, and he goes into the far corner. That's kind of what he's all about. Raj Jamkal says, I stopped getting excited with words. Let's hope it's the beginning of a great period. We've gotten excited at Basuma and Ndombele, Lo Celso, and even Dragusin, to name a few. Yes, our club is making a great moves in the market, but I'm more interested in the final product on the pitch. Come on, you Spurs.
Look, I think
are we getting drawn into the hype? Is actually we need to wait to see what happens on the pitch before we start getting too excited.
Yeah, look, there's definitely a case for that, to be honest. Like every summer we seem to get very excited. you know what I mean? Every single summer we get excited, overexcited. We overpredict where Spurs are going to finish in the league next season, but it does seem a little different this summer. It does seem, and I think, look, if you want to temper expectations, then temper expectations. No one will blame you with what you've been through over the past however many years it's been. However, it's hard not to get carried away and not to get excited when Spurs are splashing this kind of cash, bringing in this kind of talent, paying these kind of wages. It's hard. It's hard not to. But I completely understand anyone that does fall into that category.
Also, I guess the difference between the names he mentioned and our signings, a crucial difference, apart from maybe Basuma, is we're signing Prem-proven players we know are, play very well in this league. Whereas,
you mean like Richarlison and
Basuma. But look, I think
Solanke.
But I think they're all. Obviously they haven't worked out, but I do think when you're comparing them to Ndombele, Lo Celso and Dragusin, I think it's different. I think Richarlison's biggest problem is probably been his fitness. When he has played, he's scored fairly consistently. I think from that point of view, like I'm not going to sit here and say he's been a great sign of 60 million, because he hasn't. And even when he's at his best, he's still probably not quite at the level that we want. But he still provides a fairly decent kind of base level. Basuma is a good player. Just consistency we couldn't quite could never get out of him. But we've seen he can play at this level to a good standard when he's on his game. Solanke is just, again, injuries. We just haven't been able to get him fit. But when we're talking about Ndombele, Lo Celso, Dragusin, they were just massive failures. Like I don't know if they could play in the Premier League at the level that we want. Like they're kind of different to the Premier League proven players that we've had. I feel.
Yeah, I felt like Lo Celso always gets like put in there with Ndombele, but he was nowhere near as bad. I think Lo Celso could have done a job in the Premier League.
He was still a failure though, massive.
Yeah, it was mainly because of injuries as well with Lo Celso.
I think that was part of it, but he never quite was good enough when he played anyway.
Maybe, but I think he was a lot better for us than Ndombele and Dragusin, that's for sure, in my opinion anyway. But
I actually don't know if he was that much better than Ndombele.
You serious? Yeah. I think he was.
I don't know.
I think he was.
And Ndombele had some good spells as well.
And also, you got to remember with Lo Celso, in his last season for us, was it Ange's first season, right?
Yeah.
He was putting in good performances. We were all praising him every week.
And so was Ndombele at some points.
Yeah, fine. But I'm saying is that every time Ange just took him out the team and didn't give him the chance. So I think Lo Celso had decent periods for us as well. I know you're saying Ndombele did, but the talent that Ndombele had and the attitude that he had was disgusting.
I don't disagree.
I don't think Lo Celso's was ever like an attitude problem or anything like that.
No, I don't disagree. I'm just saying they were both massive failures, and obviously Dragusin as well. I think I think it's different to Basuma, Richarlison, Solanke. I just think they're not as bad of failures as those three, in my opinion. But anyway, the point being is these players we get now are more Prem proven, so there's more cause to be optimistic about.
Yeah,
them
but like
being
I said, we've brought in Prem Proven before and it hasn't worked out for us.
not as Prem proven as these players, or maybe Fernandes, but not Tonali. I don't think.
Yeah, Tonali is the only one really that you can put in that category.
User Masji says, anyone watch the Spain game? Leao couldn't even take on Porro.
What do you mean he cooked Porro?
Get that hyped up flop the F away from my team. He'll be a massive failure in the Prem.
About 2 or 3 times, he just kicked it past Porro and absolutely burnt him down that left-hand side. So I don't know what you're talking about. I thought Porro couldn't handle him at times.
He says he couldn't even take him on.
But he did take him on.
Well, what does chat think? I thought he did as well. I didn't see I don't think he cooked him, but I think he definitely caused him some problems.
There are a couple of times that he burnt him. There were.
He says he's a hyped up flop.
He's
Will
not
be
a
a massive
flop.
failure in the Prem.
Nah, I just don't disagree. Look, he could be. There is a chance that he could be. Don't get me wrong, but I say it's worth the risk.
RFS says he joined us. Talking about Tonali, he joined us because we were the only only stupid club to pay 100 million for a mediocre midfielder with 2 assists and 2 goals. If United, City, or Arsenal win for him, he wouldn't be signing for us. Don't be fooled. Those clubs were never paying that fee plus those wages a week because he's nowhere near worth it. Sorry, lads.
He's talking about Fernandes.
He's talking about
Tonali. I mean, Man City were in for him. So
he says we were the only club stupid enough to pay 100 million.
Well, it's true, we were. Not going to say otherwise. I mean, we're overpaying for players because that's what we need to do right now. You know, City and Arsenal. I mean, City overpaid for Anderson. How many goals and assists did he have last season? You know, I hate this argument where you're going for like central midfielders or you're going for certain players and you say he doesn't have enough goals or assists. Like you could say that maybe for a winger or a striker, but if you're a centre midfielder, that is not your primary target. That's not what you're there for. You're not there to get big numbers, goals and assists. That's like an added bonus if you can do it, and obviously works in your favour if you can do that. But Tonali, that's not what he was in that Newcastle team to do, get goals and assists. That was more, if it was any midfielder, it was Bruno Guimaraes.
But what I was saying before about these people talking about overpaying, all this kind of stuff. Like, is it really over? I mean, I've been thinking about this. Obviously, when we think about transfer fees and anything, how much they're actually worth, it's kind of more of a feeling than actually the market. Because when we talk about, let's say, Tonali, 100 million, what does 100 million get you? Gets you a Vuskovic and a Bergvall, right? What would you rather in your squad? A Vuskovic or Bergvall, Tonali? What are you better off with? You're better off with the Tonali, aren't you? In your starting 11.
But that's overpaying as well, Vuskovic and Bergvall.
That's the market. So if everyone's overpaying, then
everyone is overpaying.
Yeah, but then that's the market. So
100%.
the market only entails what people are willing to pay. So he's not overpaying then in that sense. Same with Fernandes. Yeah, if Fernandes 85 million, it sounds crazy, right? Would you rather Fernandes or would you rather Vuskovic, Dragoshin, Devine and Vevelis? Would you rather those 4 or a Fernandes?
No,
what's better in your squad? What's more of value in your first team? Those 4 or a Fernandes? I think most people agree. Would United better off signing those 4 or Fernandes? Obviously Fernandes. So that is the market. So if we're saying we're overpaid, then you're kind of saying, but you've got to think about what would 85 million get you if you're saying you're overpaying. What could you get for that money? Right? Are you better off spending that money elsewhere or just dropping the money and getting Fernandes? Well, if you spend the money elsewhere, you're getting Vuskovic, like you're getting those 4. You know what I mean? So it doesn't seem like it's a bad thing to pay the fees that we are because we're getting great players in our squad who are going to upgrade us, right? And the market right now is so skewed, we've been able to cover that with 4 fringe players. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, look, like I said before, I have no problem with overpaying for players, even if you call it an overpayment. But judging by those metrics, it's not even an overpayment, so I get that. But it's not about how much money we pay, it's how they impact the team. That's what people got to look at. And if he goes and smashes it out for us next season and works really well with Matheus Fernandes, nobody is going to care about how much we paid for them, you know? If they turn out to be flops, then that's when you're going to look back, we paid 100 million for this guy. But they're not going to flop, in my opinion.
Antonio Montana says, Why are you getting carried away after being 17th twice in a row? The least the club can do is spend. We haven't even got amazing players, massively overpaid for a player that's been relegated twice in a row, and our keeper issue will rise its head later in the season. No strikers, and still have a whole lot list of players to get rid of. This is another ENIC disaster waiting to happen. He ain't convinced, Tony Montana.
Tony Montana's never convinced. So I think I just don't get it. I don't get Spurs fans that are not excited right now. I don't get Spurs fans that are being like, why are we overpaying? Why are we Isn't this not what we always wanted? Like Spurs to go splurge in the transfer market, break that wage structure, finally break the get someone above 60 million that's actually worth our salt and gets into our team hands down. Like they're miles better than what we got. Like what do Spurs fans actually want? What do these guys actually want? I don't know what they want.
Just don't get carried away. They want you to stop. Know your place. Don't get carried away.
Why can't Spurs fans be happy and be excited about what's to come?
Because it all ends up falling flat on our faces.
So if it ends up falling flat on our faces, it ends up falling flat. But it doesn't mean that we can't get excited.
Trust me, if it ends up falling flat, we're going to be just as embarrassed if we all depressed now and not getting excited than we are.
Is this just like people in protection mode? Is that all it is?
Pretty much. But does he raise some issues still? You know, the goalkeeper situation could still work against us. We haven't signed any of the forwards yet, which is maybe the most important thing that we need to
It's the 7th of July.
It's true.
It's the 7th of July.
Could it still be another ENIC disaster, though?
I mean, anything could be an ENIC disaster, let's be honest. We've been burnt so many times, but I am very much encouraged with the players and the calibre of player that we've brought in to the football club so far. So it's looking different, very different to what it has been over the past 25 years. I think everyone can see that. We will bring in the forward players. The goalkeeper thing doesn't worry me at all. There is a chance it can go wrong, and if it goes wrong, we'll put it right in January or next summer. But Kinski's done enough to deserve that number one spot. So I think everything is building nicely. You know, you didn't see any of this reservations about Liverpool last summer, and they were just like complete scattergun approach, like didn't build a balanced squad at all. We're actually building a balanced squad.
True. Bingo Boy says the big spending from Spurs seems a bit crazy to me, really. What happens to all the young players we bought now, like Gray, Bergwijn, Odegaard, and who all did so well under Ange? Looks like the disastrous appointment of Frank and almost getting relegated last season has caused a complete revolution regarding the direction of the club by the owners. He's worried about the future of Gray, Bergwijn, and Odegaard. I guess he's right to be, because right now they're going to be out the door, or they're not. Then we're going in a direction where they're going to be not relied upon like they were previously, which is, I think, the right thing to do. But it would be a shame if all that talent that we invested in just goes by the wayside.
Yeah, no, it's true, but we've pivoted the way we want to run the football club now. We're not going to bring in youth and try and rely on youth and. We did put a lot of time into them and we gave them a lot of minutes, and that was in view in a few years' time they're going to be leading players in the Premier League. But if we already just bring in those leading players that are ahead of them at this moment in time, it's going to be better for us. And if
in that case, if you take the money, and then it's still worthwhile, isn't it? It still would have been a success. And people don't see it that way. I feel like they still unless they're for some reason with Gray and Bergwijn. And for those two especially, it's like unless they, in a few years, are starting for us, then these transfers haven't worked out. But as I say, if we get profits on both of them, that's a good thing. That's a success. I guess what people would say is, obviously, they're such great talents, you wouldn't want to miss out on them getting the benefit of them being such great talents.
People acting like they're the only two good players or two prospects in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've brought in two midfielders that are miles better than Bergwijn and Gray right now.
Yeah. And you know what? If we sell those two and then we decide to start trusting our own academy a bit more, I'm all for that as well.
And did it hurt? Look at the talent that has gone out of like the likes of Chelsea and Man City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Rodgers, Palmer, they sold them.
There's plenty of players that have come out the Man City academy, or they bought for the academy, and they've sold for big money, and they've gone on to do amazing things. but it hasn't hurt them because of the players that they bring into the football club. That's what I see that's going on at Tottenham right now.
And they just use it as another source of revenue. And they're not bothered. It doesn't matter how good Palmer and Rodgers turn out to be. Obviously, they probably look at them and think, what could be if they were still here? But they're so busy in title races and winning trophies that they doesn't even give them a second thought, probably.
Exactly.
Vitality says, I wouldn't be mad if we missed out on Krupi. With already 2 number 10s in Madders and Javi, I don't know if he can get game time in the 10. So we might play him on the left, which I don't think will work since he isn't a touchline winger. And as a 9, he won't work. He isn't a target man. Wouldn't even think about for 100 million. Would rather invest in a Yildiz or Leao and another striker. For example, Mamouche for 50 million would be a steal. He thinks Yildiz and Leao and Mamouche would be better than Krupi.
Well, first of all, Javi is out for minimum half the season. So there's definitely... And Maddison as well, still coming off an ACL. We don't know what he's going to be like next season. So I think Krupi would get minutes in the 10 if De Zerbi wants to play him there. But also, I think he would be good for us in the 9 as well. I think like I said before, if you create chances for him, he's going to score. It's just as simple as that.
Would you rather Krupi or Mamouche? Is Mamouche more ready now? Or I
think Mamouche is more ready now. Krupi's got a higher ceiling, but I think if you give Krupi the minutes under De Zerbi and let him develop, I think very quickly he could overtake Mamouche.
They're very similar profile, I feel like, Mamouche. I do think Mamouche physically is a bit more there, a bit more stronger, but that's because he's obviously 7 years older than Krupi.
I'll be more than happy with Mamouche. More than happy.
Yeah, I think that will also be a top signing. Tyler Barella says, Ben just walking around the entire window with his pants around his ankles.
You better be careful. I might take them off completely. The more times that clubs have me with my pants pulled down, the better. And I'm sure you guys will love it as well out there.
We love getting our pants pulled down by other clubs.
We are Pants Pulled Down TV. That's what we're gonna start calling it.
Pause. Let's just calm down a bit. Jeff Stevens says, don't anyone get me wrong. I'm over the moon about the signings we've made so far. But I have to say I'm gutted to see João Palhinha go. After what he gave us all last season and his brilliant contribution to our survival, his parting message last week was heartwarming and heartbreaking in equal measure. He loves the club and he loves the fans and will always be in our heart. Always be in his heart. God bless him, and I really do wish him well wherever he goes. Thank you, João.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sad to see him go as well. I think he gave so much to us last season, big moments, big reason why we stayed in the division, always wore his heart on his sleeve. De Zerbi loved him. I grew very fond of him towards the end of the season. But the reality is we've got so many midfielders. We've brought in 2 top midfielders here, and there isn't a spot for him. I mean, I still wouldn't be against bringing him back as kind of just a squad option, but I don't know if that's what he wants. So, yeah, look, he goes. He has to go, to be honest.
I mean, I just don't think there's space for him. Yeah. We could bring him back without selling another player. I don't know who that would be. Obviously, we're talking about Bergwijn already going without bringing Palhinha in. So if we bring Palhinha in, who else has to go to make space for him? And there's no one I'd be willing to sacrifice for Palhinha, in my opinion. So
probably the same.
Huh?
Probably the same for me. But I'm just saying, if he was to come back just as a squad option, let's say, just in case of an injury crisis, if we're in Europe, maybe it would make a bit more sense. But for this season coming, he just wouldn't see the game time unless we did get a crazy injury crisis.
Yeah. And I just think it's the right thing to do. I think De Zerbi's got players more in line with how he wants to play. Palhinha obviously did a great job, but I still didn't think he was a natural fit. I know De Zerbi talked him up and he wants to sign him. I don't know if he was gassing him up because of what he was doing or he actually meant it. But in my opinion, João was never going to be the perfect fit. And when you've got players like Tonali and Fernandes coming through the door, I think you just got to move on from people like Palhinha, who just kind of, it feels like you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
I do feel like everything De Zerbi was trying to do last season in the press was just trying to build confidence in the team.
Mm-hmm.
Every comment he was making, that's what his sole focus was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it worked. absolutely works spot on. But, you know, he said all these things and, you know, we don't want to change too much. All these players he wanted to keep, but all this stuff. And then come the summer, bam, we're blowing all this money and we're signing all these players. I think it just goes to show what the truth is.
Yeah. Do you want to keep Paulinho? 100% I want to keep Paulinho. Paulinho's not coming back. and that's not because that we didn't deserve I mean, that is because we didn't want him.
Yeah, we could have.
It's not because we wanted him and he just wouldn't come back. He's desperate to move back to Spurs. So that shows you that De Zerbi was just gassing them all up towards the end of last season, and he did a great job.
He did what he needed to do. That's it.
All right, those are your comments. Keep them coming. We'll keep reacting. Big up to all of you. We got some super chats to get into just before we finish the show.
They just announced some live Premier League fixtures if you're interested.
Did they? What have they announced?
Spurs, so Brentford, 5:30 on the 22nd of August. Newcastle, 5:30, 29th. Everton, 5:30 on the 12th. And Villa, 12:30 on the 19th.
Is that Villa away?
I guess
Yeah, I think it is.
so.
All right, so we're on TV quite a lot in the first few.
All on Saturdays, though.
Yeah.
No Sundays.
On TV, like what? All of our games apart from one.
All 4 of our first 5 games.
Yeah, on TV. Wow, that's mad. I think Sky are gassed up for Spurs as well.
Yeah, everyone is gassing up Tottenham. All on Saturday, though. So, yeah, no Sunday games.
Coys. Where is it? Brian Daigle says it's been over 24 hours now since major Spurs transfer news broke. ENIC, this is a total disgrace and unacceptable in these dark times. LMAO, joking. And he also sent another one, which I need to try and find.
Here. He said, all the best at Preston North End, my boy Alfie Devine. Right move at the right time. Go smash it. This one is hard to take. I'm emotional. Right, I'm guessing means right now. Please help heal my broken heart. LOL, Alfie Divine, ole ole.
Can everyone in the comments please take a moment to think about Brian Daigle in this really hard time? Send him your loving messages, and we're all thinking about you, Brian. We are all thinking about you.
Who knows, Brian? Maybe we have a buyback clause. Maybe we will something. Maybe he can come back one day. Wouldn't rule it out.
Don't worry, Brian. I'm sure that Tonali will be just nearly as good as Alfie Devine. I'm sure Mateus Fernandes might be, just a tiny little step below Alfie Devine. You never know how things can work out. So everyone send your loving messages to Brian Daigle in the live chat. We've got another one here from Aravind. I'm not going to try and pronounce the rest of it, saying really buzzed for Tonali and Mateus. Title incoming after our 400 million spend.
Title incoming. I'm hearing more and more title talk from Spurs fans over these last few weeks. People in the pub I'm meeting saying title. People online saying we're going for the title. People are getting so overexcited at the moment.
I love it.
Why
Keep
not?
it coming.
Why not? Dream big.
Exactly. You've got to dream big. Got to dream big. As they say, as the old quote says, if you don't aim high enough, what's the actual quote?
We want to aim so high that even failure has an echo of glory.
Exactly. And that is what Tottenham Hotspur is. So
Danny Blanchflower's words. We should listen to Danny Blanchflower.
Keep aiming high, people. Let's reach the stars. And they're doing their best to try and get us there. So let's do it, people. I think that is all we have for you today. I want to thank you all for joining us, and we shall see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.